Yo YouTube, welcome back to another video, and as you can see we got the trade strat for tournament 77. It's kind of a copy, or was it? It's like a copy of tournament 73, the last tournament we had on this map. Griffith was the bust unit. Did we have absorption? I think we did last time, or challenger, I can't remember. But it's kind of very similar in terms of that one. But in terms of the score, you can see I did get 229 billion. You guys can get like 180 plus billion easily. So I'll tell you the team setup. In terms of memorias, you can see I'm not gonna have, you might not have the same memorias as me, but I'll tell you what to use instead. So for Alucard, you want to make sure you have his own memoria on him. I got Contagious on that one, and his Vanguard Familiar. For Ichigo, you're running this. I'm running this bird on him, and this memoria with Divinity, of course. And then Urza, DOT Amp with Contagious, plus also this bourbon right here. So she's got more range, crit chance, and crit damage. And then this is where it gets slightly difficult. I know a lot of you guys won't really have the same amount of enthusiast walks as me. So for Reze, you could either use her own Memoria or use Benny Mario's Memoria. So she's doing more damage to burning enemies, or of course primed enemies, whichever one you want to pick. I think the Benny one is still better for her because she will be attacking those enemies consistently more. And for Griffith, you can either run Reze's one or Benny's one, alternate between the two. If you got enough Alucard Memorias, then run them. Smith does not need it, I'm just using this for fun. But yeah, for Smith, you just want any Memoria that gives you a cost reduction, so look for any Jack of all trade Memorias, and that's it. And pretty much, I'd like to say, join the Discord. We hit 8k subs, and you can see I've got like 700 pings, but that's because we're hosting a giveaway. Pretty much it ends in 4 days. You need 15 messages, and yeah, if you ping me, it counts as part of the entry requirement. And it's for Diavolo, so make sure to join the Discord. The link will be in the description. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's just get into the actual run. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, for Griffith, I'm running a C1 chopper. And these are the birds I'm running for these guys as well. And a few familiar for him. So yeah, let's just get into the video. Okay, so first things first, you want to make sure you place your Smith down, and exactly where I place my Griffith, you want to place him right here. I'm placing him quite close to the front so he can at least attack. Some enemies do have armored, and we want him to apply his nullify instantly as well. And now you're gonna place your Ichigo here as well, so we can deal with these guys. Yeah, once he's dealt with them, you're gonna make sure you place your other units, making sure you're prioritizing your Urza, because you need to get your Urza down, so you can get that buff going early. And now you're gonna place 2 units around her, that being Alucard and Reze. With these two, it should be very easy to hold off the Eclipse Demons. What I've noticed here recently is that the Eclipse Demons, I don't know, it's buggy, yeah? Their true location is kind of unknown. You'll see sometimes they just walk through your units and they don't actually damage them. It's weird, but they still stay there. But yeah, what I'm doing right here is just putting the range buff, the 5 ore one, whichever one takes 5 ores, the range buff, to all my units, so they have more range, so they're attacking more units. And you can see at this moment, I lost a lot of units, but it was fine because we at least kept Urza. Make sure Urza does not die at least. And you use your sacrifice domain, or thingy's domain again, and you're gonna keep doing this thing as well. So yeah, you wanna make sure that you're placing down your units, making sure you keep your Urza alive, make sure both Urzas don't die. And yeah, you just keep using your Griffith until you get to his light form, because he is the 500% buffed unit. And yeah, you can see at that moment, the Eclipse Demon somehow walked past my Urza and did not touch her, which just makes no sense. But now you're gonna place your units exactly where I placed mine. So Alucard goes there, Rezi goes onto the truck slightly, and then Ichigo can go pretty much anywhere. We're gonna be using, first off, we're gonna be using the damage buff on him and switching him to Salamander Dagger because that gives him 20% more damage to burning enemies. And you'll see I was kind of experimenting in this one, and the reason I did not do another one is because there's a bit of, I wouldn't say RNG, but you do need the wave 20 boss to die pretty easily. And yeah, for the wave 10 boss, you want to make sure your Alucard is maxed, and you want your Urzs to be on her on the duelist form. So the Urz on the left and the Urz on the far right, you want those to be on duelist, and the middle one's gonna be on Vanguard because she's gonna be buffing your other units. And yeah, you can see this 60, was it 60 million, 65 million Resi, and yeah, you want this Resi to kill off, and she should easily die, you know, with Alucard doing the damage, and you got Griffith also set to first, so Griffith's just doing enough. And yeah, now you're gonna max out your Smith and get your buffs going correctly. So 20% more range to that Urz at the front, 20% more range to that Urz at the back. And then minus 10 SP onto the Reze, and then you put the Dragon Slayer onto Alucard, and now you can use his ability. We're not going to be using this consistently because, as you do know, the enemies do have absorption, so unless an enemy is like guaranteed to leak, we're not going to be using this ability at all. Because the enemies at the very beginning are pretty weak, we can use it with no like issues, and like there's no like negative to using it. But later on was where it gets slightly difficult. And yeah, from here to like wave 20, there's not much to do, you know. You can just chill. Wave 20 onwards is where it gets slightly difficult and we have to focus. And yeah, I'm getting Ichigo to this upgrade because we're gonna be saving Reze so she can at least do more damage. And you're gonna give your damage buff to Ichigo. At this point, considering the enemies are always burning, you could also just give the Salamander Dagger very early on. So try copy my buffs that I use in my Urzs. And yeah, make sure your Griffith is set to last or strongest. Only switch him to bosses when the boss has spawn, of course. And I think there's a moment in this run where I should have set the bosses earlier or first, and not much I can do. And yeah, you can see at this point we're just surviving slowly but surely. And yeah, I'm gonna upgrade to this upgrade and making sure I leave 2 upgrades or 2 moves free. The reason for this, you'll see what I mean. We're gonna nuke off this wave 20 boss pretty easily. So now I'll set my Reze to like strongest. And yeah, once the boss does spawn, you instantly upgrade to the next move, let her attack, and then max out. You'll see if you do it correctly, the boss should just die so easily. And even if it doesn't lose the same amount of HP as me, as long as it loses like a good amount, you should still kill it off with Ichigo and Reze and enough. You got enough range now as well. So make sure to pay attention, and this is where it's needed to be focused. So upgrade, get the damage off, and then quickly max. And you can see the boss just got nuked so easily. Because there's a lot of enemies around him, so he's just gonna die regardless. We're gonna keep our Ichigo set to strongest. If he does leak, you can say your Ichigo to bosses. Same with your Griffith as well. But you can see pretty easily that boss just died off. And yeah, at this point you're just gonna max your units, your remaining units. You don't really have many units. You just got Alucard, Ichigo, Rezi, and Griffith. And Griffith's just there for like as a support, to be honest. So yeah, once Ichigo is maxed out, you're gonna switch him to the Salamander Dagger. Because as you can see, a lot of enemies, as soon as they spawn, not as soon as they spawn, but like pretty much like 90% of his range, most enemies just have bleed. I mean burn, so it's fine. If you have him on Salamander Dagger, he can be doing 20% more damage to burning enemies, which is very nice. So yeah, as you can see, I switched him over to Salamander Dagger. I switched him to first because you're going to be dealing with these guys, these leaks. And at this point, you're going to be putting as many upgrades as you can to that Urza on the right. I think ideally, you want your Urzas to be slightly further apart so you can at least get more upgrades into the one on the right. So yeah, more range. But yeah, you can see the leaks at this point are kind of annoying. So just stay to bosses or first. And what you could also do is set your Griffith to first. This is yeah one thing I did forget. But as you see, because I have one leak here, one guaranteed leak, I made sure to use my Alucard ability right here. But yeah, you want to make sure you set all your units to first, whether that be or mainly your Ichigo and Griffith. I forgot to do Griffith, so you should just do that. So yeah, if I had my Griffith on first right here, I don't think I would have had as many leaks as I do now. And it's quite annoying because I did not realize it. Because the 4 demons have like a massive like hitbox and they're kind of massive, I did not see the little leaks that were going in between. And yeah, that's why it did affect my run. So as long as you make sure to avoid that, you can get pretty much a higher score than me. Because you can see these mini leaks that are going to start appearing. If they get dealt with, you get a higher score. Because as you can see, one leaked with like 2 million right there, or 4 mil. And then the one behind it, 500k. If that died off, my score would have been easily bigger. I was considering to replace Alucard, but I did not do that. I should have replaced Resley Loki. It would have been enough. And yeah, at this point, you're just gonna make sure you watch the leaks. So as soon as you see you lose 2 stocks and one leak's about to hit your base, you replace Ichigo and move him slightly forward. Just so the pull is slightly longer. In terms of what I mean, it's like the enemies get pulled further. And yeah, from there, if you get lucky, Rezi can nuke off the enemies. If you get unlucky, there's nothing you can do about it. So, I can see the boss is gonna, I mean, the enemy's about to hit my base, so I saw Ichigo, place him around here. I didn't place him too far away, because I still want him to have like a decent amount of range. But I could have placed him at base, I should have placed him at base. So they all get pulled there, and you can see, unluckily, Rezi did not nuke these guys off, but there's not much you can do about it. And for some reason, my brain turned off and I accidentally sold the Urza at the front. What you're gonna do is sell Ichigo twice, so you have 1 stock. I wasn't able to click on my units, and you can see I have Alucard equipped. Want to make sure to use his ability as well. Because these leaks are guaranteed, you want to make sure you just click Alucard ability. You see, my brain was just turning off. I saw Ichigo twice there. I didn't get to use Alucard's ability, and I used it eventually now. But you want to turn auto skip off at wave 35, and pretty much before you die, you just click yes, and that's all it is for the strat. It's the initial strat, so I'll work on improving it, and of course get a better run out for you guys next. Not next, I mean in a few days. So you just click yes before you're done. That's it for the strat. I like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.